of the bleachers. American Apparel uses the scrunchie to fetishize the girl next door, the babysitter archetype. We have incipient sexuality combined with sobriety. The scrunchie, which symbolizes wholesomeness and innocence, are very desirable qualities for the sexual predator. Moving on, let's look at Marc Jacobs, who set up his own label in 1986. He also designed for Perry Ellis, who was a prominent sportswear designer. Here we have what I believe is spring from last year. It is a white scrunchie worn on the top of the head, although I believe at the time it was not called scrunchie, it was called personal architecture or something along those lines. Here we have a suede wedge pump with what looks like scrunchies around the ankle. Of course, we can look once again to Rami Redson for an answer. The scrunchie has come full circle. Here we see another patent submitted by Rami Redson in the mid-90s. These are some of her other creations that obviously did not take off. Here is a scrunchie which seems to be puffier on one end, sort of asymmetrical scrunchie. Here we have a very interesting shell design, and you see in figure 4 that it contains a zipper, and that it can be worn on the wrist as a sort of purse. Here's another example from Rami Redson. This is a large bow-looking purse that you can wear on your wrist. It also has zippers on either end for you to put your scrunchie inside. Here is another scrunchie, which I believe is some sort of Mobius strip scrunchie. A scrunchie containing only one side. Well, this is not from Rami Redson, but I couldn't resist. This was a patent submitted on April 30th, 2009, only last year, which is an LED scrunchie. Let's go back to Sarah Jessica Parker. When she implied that no New Yorker would wear a scrunchie, she of course meant a normal scrunchie. Here it is, blown up to 100 times its normal size and worn in a completely different way. That is, it is a scrunchie rendered as luxury object. Everything that makes a scrunchie unfashioned, for example, inexpensive, rational, and useful, have been removed. This is completely irrational, expensive, and probably costs a lot of money. It's by Zach Posen. Now, of course, the consumer can always transform the meaning of the scrunchie through a redefinition of use values. For example, I found a website called By the Hook, which proposes 1,001 alternative uses for scrunchies, but it only lists 77. Unfortunately, these include, for example, use as decoration on a jam jar, hold decks with cards together, put on the bottom of drinking glasses to catch the drips, put one on your rear view mirror, or use them to hold back long, floppy dog ears. The uses for the scrunchie are endless. But let's look at some of the ways that the scrunchie can be modified for today's users. We have a couple of scrunchie models today. I'm very happy to introduce first, who wants to go first? Doesn't matter. Gloria, why don't you come up? Here we have Gloria modeling an oversized scrunchie by This magazine. Give a little turn. Of course, you'll see that Gloria has ideal hair for a scrunchie. She has a nice volume of hair and it's very sculptural. Very nice. Let's have Destiny come up. This is a slightly different approach. Could be said to be the ironic approach to scrunchie dressing. It's hard to see, but this is a white mink scrunchie. scrunchie. So we have a simple scrunchie dressed up in extremely expensive materials. Can you tell me, where did you get this scrunchie?
My ex-stepmother gave me a Christmas present 3 years ago.
Christmas present from her ex-stepmother? That's very nice. Very nice, thank you. Thank you, models. So, here I come to the conclusion of this talk. The scrunchie, as we have seen, is, for better or worse, iconic. It is mass fashion with an unforgettable name. It is identified with a particular time and place. It elicits a universal response. However, that response depends on profound psychological dynamics. For teenage girls in the 80s, it represented one thing. It represented recreation, fun. As scrunchie innovator Debbie Gibson said, flirtation, relaxation, elation, generation of an electric youth. It was also closely associated with teenage girl aspirations to be a gymnast, an ice skater, an equestrian. With the scrunchie, youth culture created their own styles and definitions of fashion. And while the scrunchie enjoyed a period of popularity in the late 80s and early 90s, and has been periodically revived, as we have seen, it has now entered a phase where those same girls, now grown, have settled on another meaning. And that meaning is, I don't care. The scrunchie to them represents comfort, ease, boredom, manual labor. The scrunchie is no longer fun. It is now practical. A woman wears it to wash her face, do the groceries. It is no longer paired with a prom dress, but with sweatpants and Uggs. Scrunchie is unappealing to fashionable women who now want clothes related to wealth and status. Looking back, is it that fashionable women feel victimized by the scrunchie? Does it remind them of a vulnerable age? Perhaps their awkward teenage years? Here is the scrunchie dilemma. That something so practical, so useful, and in many ways so adult has come to be associated with immaturity and lack of sophistication. There is an unfortunate disconnect between what it is and what it represents, an identity crisis. However, it is safe to say that the scrunchie, after close to a quarter century, has real lasting power. It is impervious to criticism. It exists beyond taste, adopted wholeheartedly by the masses, everyone from teenagers to modest dress practitioners to pervy old men. The scrunchie, more than any other fashion accessory, exposes fashion as the abstraction that it is. Fashion is a continual process of self-reinvention, of denying the past. Is the scrunchie now revolutionary? The scrunchie, which sprang directly from dominant mass culture, now stands in opposition to mainstream consumer taste. Is it now counterculture? Whatever your feelings, it is clear that it's time to reclaim, rename, or rebrand the scrunchie. Thank you. Thank you. I probably had no idea I could say so much on the scrunchie, but if anyone has questions, now is the time to ask. Scream scrunch, and I'll call on you. Or I think maybe I covered all the pieces. Scrunchie, yes. Scrunchie was the name of Robbie Betson's toy poodle. As far as I know, it doesn't mean anything. It was just the name of her dog. And she named her entire hair accessories line after it.